Okay, welcome back. We left off on page 53 talking about like the sitemap. And hey, if you were good at back in the DOS days of how to navigate a structure, for example, going up the sitemap, you'd do ... / like that, making you go up one. And maybe if you had, in this case, like there's a thing called articles. So maybe I would have one that went, articles, and then / or maybe even a combination of the two, like go up one and then over one. Again, I'm not here to teach you navigational structures in an organizational chart like a DOS prompt or something, but yeah, you're going to need to know a little bit about that. Okay, we're almost to the end. So let's talk about what you can put inside an href tag. So I mentioned that you could have like HTTP, and you can have another one called HTTPS. S is the one that uses the secure thing. There's another one, a common one called mail-to. Kind of weird. So for example, I said, send me an email at whatever, at Bob at kumquat.com, and I want to have where you click on that would automatically send. So I would do an A tag just like we did before, and again, whatever it is you wanted to show up would be the part that's inside between the tags, except now the attribute is still going to be href, but instead of having it HTTP, it's going to be mail-to. Isn't that weird? Mail-to. And then you put in Bob at kumquat.com. Isn't that kind of cool? So you click on it, and if you're on a mobile device, there's one that's a phone number, where you click on it, and of course it's not going to work on a desktop, but if you're on a mobile device, you can have a hyperlink that's a phone number, and you click on that, and the protocol's called phone, and it clicks on it, it'll just dial the number. All right, I'm going to go ahead and show this. I mean, it's not going to be anything different than you've seen before. Okay, a hyperlink, and if I click this, of course the machine's going to come up and say, wait a minute, you want me to launch your email client? And in this case, I'm going to say no, because hey, we're just doing a demo here and I don't want to have to do that. Okay. So let's talk about some terms, because I kind of mentioned to you about the sitemap thing, about how you could have like go navigate up the directory structure and down the directory structure and all that. So a lot of people, including me, I tend to use the terms website and web page almost interchangeably, and that's not really correct. A website is the collection of all of your web pages. So the website is the big thing. So a website can have multiple web pages. Okay. All right. Some of the accessibility rules are kind of weird when it comes to this stuff. For example, when you're doing hyperlinks, you should never ever have anything stupid that says like, click here, and have that part of the, because that's not very descriptive. For accessibility reasons, you really need to have the term going on. Like in this particular case, this is the name of an article. So have the name of the article. If you're, on the other hand, so like page 2, maybe that's descriptive enough. Maybe not. This is pretty doggone descriptive because it's basically the same as a hyperlink. It's letting you know that it's an email. So the rules for this description go like this. Don't ever use, click here and something stupid. Always make it descriptive, some sort of words that describe where you're going. And then some people are a little paranoid than others. And so if you're going to a link, a relative thing, going to your own page, you can be as descriptive as you want. But if you're going to somebody else's web page, like you're getting ready to leave the confines of your website, going to somebody else's website, a lot of people want to know that. They want to know, if I click this link, I'm actually leaving. For example, if I'm at the Microsoft site and I click this and I'm going to be going to somebody else's web page, I want to know that. So one of the ways to do that is whenever you have an external link, go ahead and use the full URL inside the description. So in other words, don't do it the way I did it here. If this was an external, you would just copy that whole thing over. So they would immediately see that, then you'd have to describe it somehow. Go to this article, this following website, and then you show them the website itself. So rules are, if it's internal, be descriptive as possible. If it's external, describe it somewhere else and then have the entire URL in the description. Cool? All right. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to validate this guy. Now, there could be that this web page actually, your editor could have a built-in validation scheme. It's possible. But let's just see how. Now, I'll admit, I wasn't paying too much attention when I put this thing together, so most likely I made a mistake. We're about to find out. So I'm going to copy this entire blessed thing, and I'm going to go to one of these websites where you can do validation. So there's a cool one out there called HTTP. This is one of the ones that does not necessarily use a www. It's just validator.w3.org. And so I'm just going to go here and paste this in here and then say check. And let's see what it finds. And it says, wow, error. That was, in fact, that's good. It should, the example I talked about the nesting rules. So the nesting rules are wrong, and the type attribute on this particular thing has become obsolete. I remember I changed the attribute. A lot of their attribute examples are incorrect, but they make for good ways to learn about attributes, but they are not necessarily compliant. Now, the reason I'm showing you this is I'm going to run this on every single one of your assignments that you turn in. Yeah. You're going to get points off if you don't have strict validation. Okay. So, yes, be incredibly smart for you every single time you do one of these. You run it through the validator to make sure it works. Cool? Okay. Kind of in a summary, let's go over some of the rules for formatting. Whoops. So here are the rules for formatting. Yes, I want you to use tag indentation. There are some scenarios where if it's really, really short, maybe you wouldn't indent. You just put it all in the same line. But if it's kind of big, go ahead and put the tag and indent the column. Cool. Lowercase tags, names. Okay. Start every major block, and major is kind of just, again, is it all, if it's short, so block tags on a separate line. Use heading tags for accessibility. Yes, you're going to be required to use heading tags in your homework assignments. Attributes, they start with lowercase. There's an equal sign, but there's no space on the left or the right of the equal sign. Some double quotes and then something, text. If there's multiple ones, they're separated by spaces. Use the proper nesting. Use proper link descriptions for accessibility, and it must pass HTML5. Now we're going to add a few more things onto this list as we go along, but right now those are the rules that I'm going to be using when I grade your assignments. Okay, we have reached the end of this chapter, and we'll see you again in some future chapter.